you're moving and you're not sure where to start and what is the best approach here to make it as smooth and easy as possible, you're in the right place. My goal is to share my best tips in this video to help you with a very smooth and successful move. I feel like I should preface this entire video by saying that I did move probably around 25 times in my life. I've moved so many times that at this point I probably have a lot of experience in terms of moving. As funny as it sounds, it's actually more stressful to move now than it was in the past. Maybe I'm just getting older. If you're also struggling with moving, I feel you. Don't be discouraged. It's going to be okay. Just follow these simple steps and know that once it's done, it's done. The first thing you want to determine is whether or not you're going to try and move everything yourself or if you're going to hire movers. Now, it depends obviously on the amount of things that you have in your home. In my case, I had a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. I knew I had to get some help from movers. But of course, you have all different kinds of moving companies, from the very high end to the sort of one person on TaskRabbit, and there's nothing wrong with one or the other option. It all depends on your budget. So in my case, I reached out to a moving company that is well known here in New York City and probably elsewhere in the country, and I got a quote from them. It was very thorough. I had to basically list every single item I needed moved. The process took maybe 30 minutes. I was given a quote of $2,000 for my 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment, again in New York City, and it was on a summer weekend, so the price was higher than usual. That was too much for me. I didn't want to spend that money on moving. So then on one of my morning walks around the neighborhood, I actually noticed a van that said just man with a van. And I've seen them around the neighborhood a few times. And so I actually reached out to them and they told me that the van would be too small, but if they rented a truck, it would be about $1,000 for the entire move. So I went with them and I'm really glad I did because they did a great job. So just comparing quotes between the options that you have, and do it as soon as possible, right? There's no need to wait until the last minute to book a moving company or to book a truck or a van. That you can do as soon as possible, as soon as you know you're moving, basically. And it will depend on your budget. It will depend on how many people are able to help out with your move and how much of it you want to do yourself. I knew that I wanted to do all of the packing and unpacking myself, not just because I hopefully was gonna remember better where things were in the boxes by doing it myself, but also because packing everything allowed me to really assess what I wanted to keep, donate, or sell, or toss away if it was really bad. But it was mostly things that I wanted to either sell, donate, or keep for the next place. Another thing you can do as soon as possible, as soon as you know you're moving, is to call and cancel all of the memberships that you have for your utilities, gas, electricity, the internet, things like that. In some cases, calling too much in advance is not going to work because you basically need to do it the month of your move. So I would advise to do it maybe 3 weeks to a month prior. So the third tip I would like to share is to, again, as soon as possible, look around and start posting things that you want to sell. I use Facebook Marketplace. It's a great place to easily list and sell things you don't want anymore, and you can definitely get some money out of it. Mind you, I didn't have anything really valuable. Most of it was already secondhand or items I had from IKEA, but I was basically able to cover half of the cost of my move just by selling some items on Facebook Marketplace. So that was actually really nice. So I would say as soon as possible, list the things that you want to sell because it will take some time and you'll have more time to not necessarily go for the cheapest offer you get on an item immediately because you really have to get rid of it. So it's nice to do that a little bit in advance as well. So the other bed in the other bedroom, I already sold. I sold it on Facebook Marketplace. Every single time I sell something, I'm like so happy that the thing is getting a second life. So it's not so much about making money off of it, but just making sure that it doesn't end on the curbside. So this one I haven't sold yet. It is a very basic IKEA bed. I think at this point, since I have only 1.5 days left before the move, I think I'm going to list it for free so someone can just give it a second life. And you can obviously in advance start packing for things you want to donate. It will be less things that you need to carry to the new place because ultimately you're trying to minimize the amount of things that you're going to have to move to the new place if you can. You can view it as a great opportunity to get rid of things that you don't want to keep in your new space and start fresh. There's also the whole emptying your pantry slowly that I definitely have been doing. So my fridge is pretty empty and pretty sad right now, but that's totally fine. So you've chosen whether or not you were going to hire movers. You've called to make sure that all of your utilities memberships were going to be canceled. You've posted things that you were going to sell on Facebook Marketplace or another platform. Now what? So we're now, let's say, a couple weeks prior to your move out date, and now is a good time to make sure that you have the supplies you need for your move. For instance, some moving boxes or some tape or a Sharpie to label your moving boxes. Trying to stay organized will be really helpful for when you have to unpack everything. Even for the movers to know in which rooms to place the boxes, it will just save you time. So some people like bubble wrap. I personally like to wrap fragile items using fabric. Of course, it's probably best to make sure your laundry is clean, but you could have glasses in socks, for instance, or wrap plates in sheets. And that works really, really well. And it prevents you from buying bubble wrap, which ultimately is single use and plastic. So I much prefer use things that I have that will protect my fragile items equally, but at least I didn't have to buy that supply. And you can definitely start packing things that you're not gonna need until you move. It's definitely best to do it early rather than really struggling in the last couple days before the move out date. You can also start removing things off of the walls, patching holes if you have some, because that also takes a little bit of time and it's very typical to forget. A lot of progress has been made and I still have a lot of things to do. It feels like it's never ending, but that's literally how it works when you're moving, I guess. So let me show you around. So for the primary here, the bed frame is gone. I sold it. The shelves were removed from the wall the other day. I also removed the wallpaper that was on this wall here. All of the cabinets have been emptied out. Actually, I'm very happy with that progress. I do need to come back and sand. This here is completely empty. And finally, my office. I was working this morning still, so I definitely needed the desk. I'd say I'm only halfway through. Another big tip for you guys is to make sure on move out day to start early. I mean, not everyone is an early bird and I totally get that, but from experience, if you start the move early, it's going to be way easier because moving almost always takes more time than you think it's going to take. Early in the morning, you have potentially less traffic. If you hire movers, they will also probably be in a better shape in the morning rather than if you book them in the afternoon and it's their second move and they're getting tired, which is completely understandable, and things can break and maybe they're going to be less cautious. And so you will probably avoid a lot of problems if you start your move early. So even if you're not an early bird, just make the effort that one day it is important and you will be glad to be in your new space with everything hopefully done by the middle of the afternoon.
This is the morning of the move. The movers actually just arrived and they already started loading the truck. That's a lot of stuff. It's crazy. It always looks like you have way more stuff than you think you do.
Before everything is taken out of the apartment, my advice is to just leave this one box of cleaning supplies. Maybe just a broom and a microfiber cloth, maybe the kit to fill holes on your walls as well. You can easily come back, the place is empty, and you can very easily just make sure that everything is nice and clean, just to make sure that the space is left in good condition for future tenants. And of course, if you leave the space in good condition, you can very much expect to get your security deposit back. And ideally, you want to have a little bit of time, so maybe half a day or a full day until you have to give the keys back. Yesterday, the movers picked up everything and we now need to unpack in the new place. So there's a lot of things to do, but I'm just done here with filling all the holes and making sure the apartment is clean and ready for the next tenants to move in. Feels a bit weird. I mean, as always, moving is always bittersweet. On to a next chapter, I guess. Let me show you something actually quite funny. I made sure that I emptied all the cabinets and I like triple checked everything. And guess what? I forgot this one shelf. So I need to come back here with a moving box and grab these pots that I'm definitely gonna use. I'm pretty happy with my move this time around. It overall went really smoothly. I was very happy with the movers that I hired, and I really hope that you will also have a good experience moving. Let me know in the comments if you're moving, what kind of move you're going through, if you're upgrading, if you're downsizing. In my case, I was downsizing. I actually had to get rid of a lot of things. I hope you guys found this video helpful. In my next video, now I'm in my new space, I will share my living room makeover. Even though I am in this space temporarily, I really wanted this space to feel very homey and comfortable and look nice. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you won't miss my future videos. And until then, have a great rest of your day. See you next week.